Welcome to Cook 30. I'm Jeremy Dixon from the Revive Cafes in Auckland, New Zealand, and also wrote the Revive Cafe cookbooks. And today I want to share with you some delicious cafe-style meals that you can cook at home. Cook 30 food is all about using whole food, plant-based ingredients. We're going to be using great protein sources like nuts, beans and lentils, whole grains like brown rice and quinoa, tying it all together with fresh fruit and vegetables and international flavours and fresh herbs and spices. And the best part about Cook 30 food is you do not have to spend hours slaving away in the kitchen to make it. I'm going to show you how you can make a delicious meal for your family in just 30 minutes, and you will not believe how easy it can be. On the menu today we have a delicious Mexican feast. We have a corn and pepper fiesta served with guacamole, zesty coriander rice and a fresh Mexican salsa. We'll heat up some black beans and lettuce, and for dessert we'll have freshly cut mangoes with lime juice. Okay, the first thing when you start a meal is to make sure that you've got your kitchen prepared. We've got the jug boiled, boiling water ready to go, pans on the stove, chopping board, knife, clear bench area and a fridge and cupboards stocked with lots of healthy food that we can use. First thing that we're going to do is the brown rice. So I've got a hot pan here and we're going to cook brown rice. The recipe is basically 2 to 1. So we're going to start with 1 cup, this is a big container isn't it, 1 cup of brown rice, and I usually use long grain because that generally takes less to cook. And then we're going to use 2 cups of boiling water. And this is the standard recipe for brown rice. 1 and 2. So we're going to let that cook. Bring it to the boil, so I'll just turn it up so it's nice and hot, and then turn it back down. Rules when cooking rice: number 1, you want a lid on. We're using the absorption method, which means that you want the water to be absorbed into the rice, not steaming out the top of the pan. Also, don't stir it. You'll ruin the little steam holes that come up to cook the rice. So just leave it there, and when it starts boiling and bubbling, we'll turn the heat right down so it's just simmering and just bubbling. That'll take around 20 to 25 minutes to cook. Okay, we're going to start with the corn and pepper fiesta. And we're going to use canned corn. If you've got fresh corn, that's great as well. So just going to open these cans. And this is a really, really easy salad to make. Very, very quick. Like most of my salads, of course. But very nice and Mexican-y. So 2 cans of corn. Just drain those in the sink. And I'm going to mix it just in the bowl we're going to be serving it in. You can save a lot of dishes by just doing that. Two cans of corn, lovely yellow batch, that one. We have a red capsicum or bell pepper, depends what country and what you call them. Take out the insides, and we're just going to dice this really finely. So to start with, we want to slice it really finely. And you want a really sharp knife for this, or it can slide off and take a finger off. So 1 and 2. And what we want to do with every dish, well, that I try to make anyway, is to add a lot of colour. And colour just makes food look good, and if it looks good, it will generally taste good. So line them up together, chopping them together. Just another run through as well. You want to make sure it's no bigger than the corn. Put that in there. Going to add some spring onions or scallions or green onions, whatever you call these. Just going to add 3 of these. These will add some lovely colour. So just going to chop off any ends that aren't that fresh. Chop off these ends as well. Cut them in half. And then just slice them through. It's quite nice to slice things diagonally if you get a chance. So we're going to slice like this, really fine. And when you're slicing these type of things, you want to make sure your knife's going all the way to the board, or else you end up with all these bits that are joined together. So a nice slice, rocking the knife backward and forward so you're getting a clean contact with the board and you don't end up with too many that are joined together. Get any stragglers at the end that have missed out. Look at that. That in as well. Lovely colours. Okay, the rice, as you can see, is now bubbling away. So I'm just going to turn that down to very, very low heat, so that'll just keep simmering there very gently. Now we better add a bit of some dressing to this, so I'll add a tablespoon of oil. I've just got some extra virgin olive oil, just a good sprinkle of salt, and I think that's pretty much all the ingredients. I'm just going to mix it up. That oil will sink down. You don't need any sweetness with this one because the corn is very sweet. Mix it around just like that. Make sure you leave some greenery at the top, and that is ready to go to the table. How quick is that? It wouldn't be Mexican without guacamole. So we're going to get 2 nice avocados. We're going to cut into them, cut them in half, long ways. Open them up. Lovely, look at that lovely green coming through. Yes, not too bad. So we're just going to get the stone out like that. And just take off the skin. It's just a great way of adding just a lovely creamy flavour to any Mexican meal. You can buy some pre-prepared guacamoles, but I've never really had any success. They just taste a million miles away from the fresh stuff. Wedge all that out. Oh, bit of blackness happening there, we'll just cut that out. Everything else is fine. So put that in a bowl. We're just going to just squash it down with a fork and mash it up so it's lovely and fine. There we go, it's coming along, getting there eventually. Now you don't want it perfectly mashed so it's 100% squeezable. Just a few little lumps in there are quite nice, but you generally want most of it mashed up reasonably well like that. We're going to add the juice of a lemon. So just squeeze that on the lemon juicer here. And this will just give a lovely acidic bite. Avocado is a very mild vegetable, or it's technically a fruit actually. So just put it through my fingers. Oh, one always goes in, doesn't it? There we go. Need some salt, so half a teaspoon of salt. And red onion, give it some more bite. So just about a quarter of red onion. We don't need much. So again with this, we just want to cut thin slices. Might have to hold them together. So you want it really, really, really thin. This is a nice, easy way of cutting thin slices. That's probably about enough actually. And clump it all together and then slice it all into really thin slices. You don't want big chunks of onion coming in your meal, so if it's not cooked, so a little bit of time getting this nice and thin is worth it. So is that all the ingredients? Oh, clove of garlic. Just 1 clove of garlic into your garlic press. Press it through, just like that. we'll just stir that up, and that is the guacamole made. Just all that salt and lemon juice and onion will just combine really well. You can add tomatoes as well, but because we've got salsa happening, we'll just do a basic avocado, which is just mainly avocado and onion. There we go, all ready. I've got these beautiful homegrown tomatoes here to use for the Mexican salsa, and this will really make this dish beautiful. So just chop off all the kind of homegrown bits. You know it's homegrown when you've got lovely marks like that. Get all the stuff we don't want. I've got a beautiful yellow one here, look at that. So for salsa we want them really, really thin. And well, the salsas I like anyway. You still want it a little bit chunky, but you don't want it blended. So chop everything up into lovely rounds like that, and then chop through it. This one as well. And then the other way with this knife, like that. And the same with these guys. So you want around about 2 cups of tomatoes all up. Oop. Those little end bits can be quite dangerous. Just keep slicing. So it's really nice making your own salsa. Again, you can buy salsas at the supermarket, but I think making your own only takes a couple of minutes, and the flavour is just wow compared to what you can get in a package. Get every bit in. Get it chopped up, go through, get it looking beautiful. Okay, we're going to add some more red onion, so we'll use the one we used before. Again, about a quarter, that's a big onion, so it's probably about a 1/6 of a small onion. And we're just going to make little cuts and then dice this up really finely. There we go, we're going to add some cilantro, which is lovely as well. We're going to cut this up finely, and we're just going to cut all the leafy bits, so about half the cilantro, and we're going to reserve the rest and all the stalks for the cilantro rice later. So we'll put that aside. We want the juice of some limes, so we'll just grab 2 nice limes, hopefully they're juicy, and we're going to juice these and add these. So you want around about 4 tablespoons of lime juice, and a bit of salt, about ½ teaspoon of salt, and that's pretty much everything. Oh, chilies, we can't go without chili. So I've got a nice chili here. They're not too hot, so again, test your chilies, know what your capabilities are. We're just going to dice this chili, really finely slice it, and just some really nice hot chili flavours coming through. So this one's a reasonably mild one, but just go cautious if you need to. Put the seeds and all in, and we'll just squeeze a clove of garlic in as well. I'll grab 2 small ones. Where's that? I think it's over here. Oh, here it is. And just, there we go. And that'll just infuse it with garlic. So we can just mix this lovingly on the board here. Doesn't that look beautiful? And over the next course of 10 minutes, these flavours will just mingle beautifully. Don't forget all the juice. Get most of it. And we'll just pour this lime juice on here as well. And there you have a really delicious, you know that's going to taste good, lime, cilantro, salt, lemon juice, all the great things for a delicious salsa. If you've just joined us on Cook30, we are cooking a delicious Mexican feast. we have a corn and pepper fiesta, guacamole, and zesty coriander rice. We're making a fresh Mexican salsa, much better than anything you can buy at a supermarket, with some black beans and lettuce. And to finish off, we're going to have freshly cut mangoes and lime juice. And this Mexican meal is something I really love about food, is to be able to have on the table all these deliciously healthy and interesting flavours and just put them on my plate and eat them how I want. And everyone can kind of customise their meal how they want. So it's a really fun way to eat. I love this style of cooking. So we're going to add some black beans, which is very Mexican. And we're actually going to do no prep here. We're just going to empty the beans into the pan and warm them up. You can get great canned beans from the supermarket, and most of them don't carry, lots of preservatives and things. Do check the labels. So these are just simple black beans. Just going to drain them out here, drain out most of the water, leave a little bit in, and just put them in this pan and just warm them up. I'm going to try one of them, see what it's like. So there's nothing really flavoursome at all, which is good. I'm just going to add just a touch of salt, just to add a little bit of flavour and bring it out. So we're just going to let those warm up there for a couple of minutes. We're now going to have some lettuce, and lettuce is a great thing to add to it. And again, it's got a Kos or a Romani lettuce, my favourite lettuce, nice and crisp. And we're just going to slice it really thinly, just to make it easy to work on the plate. So just as thin as you can, slice it up. And this will just add some nice greenery and some freshness to add to all our lovely other Mexican ingredients. I'm just going to put that in the bowl. So it's ready to go on the table. Just kind of drizzle it over. If your lettuce is a bit wilted, just a little bit of water splashed over them can help as well. So that's ready to go to the table. Now before we start dessert, we want to make sure we flip the cutting board so we don't get all those oniony flavours coming through in the dessert. One of the things I love doing when I go shopping is actually looking at people's shopping trolleys. And not in any way to judge them, but just to see what people eat. And sometimes you see some mothers with children putting into their trolleys absolutely stuff that's not food. It's just full of sugar, full of flavourings, preservatives, processed food. And there's just so many more amazing things that God has created for us to eat. Things like a simple mango. And having a simple mango at the end of a meal will be much more satisfying and enjoyable than some kind of chocolate encrusted, white flour, sugared, horrible dessert. So I encourage you to, make really good choices when you're in the supermarket and get really good healthy stuff. So I've got a great Mexican finish off for this, and that's a mango. So get your mangoes and just slice them around long ways around the stone. And try and miss it so you're just missing it. Let's see if we can get 4 good cheeks off here. Look at that. Yes, nothing brown. It's always really scary cutting into a mango in terms of what you're going to find inside. Look at that, 4 beautiful cheeks. We can eat these later as something separate. What we're going to do, we're just going to slice them through here. You probably know this trick. And just create lovely edible squares that we can eat with the skin. Just a really quick way to prepare mango. Just score it through there. And this will be far more satisfying and make you far more better and healthier than some of these other sweet, horrible things that you can buy. And we're going to top this off with some lime juice and some mint. So we haven't just got the normal mango, but some other amazingly created flavours as well. And if you're eating these type of healthy foods, you can have so much more vitality in your life. Ever since I started eating healthy about 10 years ago, I need less sleep, I can have a lot more brain power, and life is just so much better when you've got a clear brain and a healthy mind and body. Not to mention that you're not going to get all these horrible diseases you can get. So these, just basically flip them out like that. They might break apart. Just throw them on a nice wooden board. They inevitably will break apart a little bit. They're nice and bent, just like that. stay there. Hope they behave themselves. And then we're just going to get the juice of a lime just to squeeze over it. Whoops, I've cut that the wrong way. We'll use that for garnish. You need to cut them in half this way if you want to squeeze them. And by squeezing it, this will help it stop going off and just keep it for those final minutes before we serve. Just bend this one around a little bit more. And just put some garnish ones there like that. Perhaps we'll use the limes to cover the interesting ones. And it's got some mint. Just chop it up. Just chop off the long stalks and most of it. Just roll it up into a cigar shape. And you're cutting it like that. Bit of garnish over the top. And there you have a healthy dessert that will just finish off this Mexican meal beautifully. Okay, let's see how the rice is going. Looking pretty good. Just turn that off. I think it's done. If you want to see if the rice is done, all you do is just pick it up and then just pull back, and you can see underneath that there's no water left. And that's generally the good way of telling if your rice is finished. It's all finished, and as you can see, it's nice and fluffy, which is great. Now, I've purposely made twice as much rice as I've needed to, because I'm going to store some. So grab some kind of container and put the rice in here, and then that means tomorrow when you want to make a nice healthy breakfast, a stir fry, or have a curry on rice, you've got some rice in the fridge. And this will keep around about 2 to 3 days. The trick is to make sure it cools off and then put it straight in the refrigerator, and it should last a few days in there. So I'll just put that over there just to cool off. I won't put the lid on just yet. Just a handy tip to keep your fridge stocked with useful things. So we've got this beautiful rice. Now we want to make it even more delicious. So you can serve curries and things with it with a plain rice like this, that's fine. But with Mexican we want to add a little bit more flavour. So we've got the coriander or cilantro stalks we used before. I'm just going to just trim off the ends, and we're just going to slice these really, really thinly. And these little ends of the coriander are just really delicious, and they're lots of flavour. So just take your time and cut through. Include the leaves as well. So we want a really nice, even covering of this. If there's one thing that you could probably use that would improve most people's cooking and give it more flavour, is the use of fresh herbs. And you probably notice I use a lot of herbs in my cooking. Coriander or cilantro is one that is really lovely to have in a lot of dishes. You want some fresh parsley. Mint is really amazing too, and even in some savoury dishes and sweet dishes. You can grow thyme, oregano. There's just so many beautiful flavours that you can have that will add to your meal. So if you've got a little herb garden, and at home I've got one, pop out any time, grab a couple of bunches of herbs, and just instant flavour, instant freshness. So there's one thing you can do, try getting some more herbs. You can buy them at the supermarket as well, but there's nothing like having a garden. So we're going to put this in with the rice, and we're going to add some lime juice. Yeah, and fresh lemons and lime is probably another thing as well. Citrus just makes such a difference to meals. I'm going to cut these limes in half. With our trusty lemon squeezer once again, or lime squeezer. Just like that, look at that. Also I'm going to add a bit of zest to it as well. So we've got this beautiful zest on here, probably should have done it before I took out the juice. So just get the fine setting on your grater, and just grate some of this lovely lime zest in, just to add a bit more. Oh, it just smells amazing. A bit more flavour. You don't need much. Pull it out, and then I'll just add a little extra touch as well. Just need a little bit of salt. It's probably about half a teaspoon of salt, and just a splash of extra virgin olive oil and mix this up. This is going to go beautifully with this Mexican feast. So I've got a bowl ready to go, pour it in, and you know that is going to taste fantastic. And again, I encourage you to use brown rice rather than white rice. Basically, to make white rice, you take brown rice, take off all the fibre, all the nutrients and vitamins, and you get white rice. So brown rice is a much healthier version to choose. These beans look as though they're cooked, or just warmed up nicely. So we're just going to pour these into a bowl as well. And this will give some great protein for this Mexican meal. There we go, turn the stove off. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 delicious ingredients that we can piece together and make into our own Mexican feast. Now the fun part about this Mexican feast is serving it, and you can choose any quantity you like of the different components. I'm going to start with, I normally start with brown rice first on the base. I'll have some black beans on top of that. Make a little bit of a well, some of this delicious corn and pepper fiesta, beautifully and colourful. The salsa, delicious, with a bit of bite from those chilies, and a good dollop of guacamole on top. Bit of lettuce on the side, and there I have my perfect Mexican feast. Thank you for joining me on Cook 30, and I look forward to seeing you next time.